Good morning, everybody. So we're going to hop in here and we're going to focus on a bunch today. I'm going to have to send this out to a couple places, get some coffee, and really ramp this day up. Uh, let's just get started. Get started here. And we can just begin. So let me just get this going and then we should be good here. Send out this link and we should be in good shape. So just put this out and get this going. Live link. Okay. So let's see here where we're at. Hey, Daniel, good morning. So the Apple news is not ideal to say the least. This is just, it's really poor timing. And it's going to drive the stock down. I mean, that's kind of what we're seeing right now. And you just need to be concerned because these are the last ones that you're seeing, the last bastion of strength where people were putting their money. And now you're just going to might get to the point where people are like, that's it, get me out. So the last ones to probably fall are, the first ones that you buy. So I would strongly say that, this breaking back under this channel, let's just start here. This breaking under this channel, okay, this is telling you that we're probably going to test this level. So we're going to have to really watch this closely. But them coming out and telling suppliers that they have weak iPhone sales is pretty much the exact opposite of what you want to see. Like you just don't want to you really just don't want to hear that. So let's keep that in mind. Now, we're just going to have to see how that plays out. But that's really a huge concern because if that gets hit, then you're going to see semiconductors get hit. Right. And so if semiconductors get hit, here's why semiconductors get hit. So we understand this. Let's let this load in. And what you're seeing, you see how you're breaking this 21-day now on this. You have to watch this level because if iPhone has weak demand, semiconductors will be thought of to quote, have weak demand. So you're just going to have to watch all the pieces of this. The other is NVIDIA. You're sitting right on that 21-day. If you break this 21-day, okay, you could slice all the way down. I mean, this could get super ugly. You really have no support here. You have some in here, but you have really no support. You have a 200-300 level. So these can get ugly. And let's just be aware of that. And let's just keep taking questions. So let's start. Lucid. So, I mean, we can kind of see what's going on here, right? It's just not holding. And I'm going to do this for these charts right now. You're not holding. And what's happening is these rallies are being met by selling. Let's clean this all up for a moment. I'll show you it again, Daniel, so we can walk through it all. So here you are on Lucid, right? And we can see clearly where these levels are. And let's get rid of this pre and post for a moment. So see that level right there, that 5606, 5608, Daniel? That's your problem, buddy. I mean, like that's our issue. Every single time that we try to get above it, right, we just bonk, right? I mean, like here, you see that level over here. Let me just draw it over here now so we can really get into there and you can see it, right? Bonk, 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 bonk. I mean, this is a reversal. So now what you have, right, if we focus on this portion of it and get rid of these indicators, what do we have? We have a rising wedge. How do these end? Right? I mean, let's call it here because that makes the most sense. Hold on. Right about there. So these don't end well. So breaking this today could be big. So I would not be jumping into that. I'd be on the other side of it. I would definitely be on the other side of that. I would not be out there buying it. So I hope that's clear. I don't know if you're long or short, um, on it, but that's definitely something that it's not something I'd be jumping into right now. So let's just keep going here. What else we got going on? If you guys let me know, and girls let me know which way you're positioned in the name, it helps sometimes, so I can tell you what to look for. SPY, BT, yeah. So let's just talk about the SPY for a moment. Okay. You're trying to bounce, and maybe on the claims number, we got a little bit of a bounce. Let's just take a look and see what happened there. See if that did. So you got a little bit of a bounce from jobless claims. Okay. You're up about 75 cents. See if that holds. That's not the worst. It's just not the worst news. It appears that continuing claims are, 1.95 versus 2 million revised. That's pretty good, that you came in like that. But, I don't know that's going to be enough to drive the market. And that's really what you're going to have to see. You're going to have to see if that's going to be enough to drive it higher. And I'm not sure that it's going to be. I think you may have some issues there still. So we're going to have to just watch and see how that plays out. The strongest market this morning, just why we're talking about this, is the IWM. And that's the one that looks like it's setting up and has the most potential for a bounce. We might see a day of tech getting hit and people buying the travel names because they're so depressed. I'm just going to point this out so that people can see this, because this is important. You might want to remember this. So this is nasty, right? Like, no one's going to say this isn't nasty, but I just want to point this out. And, I stress this again, that RSI is one of the leading indicators, right? So we know below all these. And I just want to point this out. And let's remove this text. And they're heavily laden with travel. So you see this volume here on this IWM? See how high that volume is? Okay, that's almost peak, like get me out. Very similar to this, right? That put a bottom in, okay, or here that put a bottom in. So what I'm getting at is this is probably the third highest level of selling you've had in what? Probably at least 2 years. See how you're under this level where you were under here as well? It can always get worse, but once you start getting indexes under these 30s, they can bounce. So just keep that in mind. And I think that's why you're starting to see this one move. In regards to these kinds of names, so, I was pointing this out earlier this morning. This is pretty easy to telegraph what's going on here. Let's get rid of the volume. Here was your negative divergence on the RSI, completely telegraphed this move, right? I mean, you almost have to not understand RSI to say it. So, and I understand some people don't, and that's cool. But look, you broke, rising wedge, snapped, tried to get up, couldn't, and now you just keep testing support lines. You're still broken. And you're still respecting this line. I don't see the hurry, like, at all to get in here. Let's throw in the 50 for a moment on Bitcoin. Yeah, I mean, what's your hurry? Institutions are selling. This is your institutional line. Don't convince yourself of anything else, okay? So, and I know there's a lot of talk about people opening up wallets and getting more wallets. Yeah, that's great. That's good news. That's retail. Retail is not going to make Bitcoin go up. Institutional and corporate sponsorship is going to make Bitcoin go up. That's what's going to drive it. Not some people just buying, half a share or like one portion of it. And you can see that, like, that is not something. You see how I'm just adding this stuff and what it's telling you. Like, this is not something you want to go near. Breaking this level, we could see 40,000 easy. Now, you did hold this 52.9 line, so just see if you hold that. But the way right now, I don't see any reason to be jumping into this. This one I liked a little bit better because I think people are starting to understand it a little bit differently. If you look, yes, from here down, you definitely have a divergence, but you are holding above the 21 and you are holding above the 50. So the one that I've been adding to at the 50 has been Ethereum. And I think that people are starting to understand a little bit of the differentiations between these two and the utility that Ethereum offers. And it doesn't hurt that, the NFT market is basically, Ethereum on steroids. So that's going to drive that market. I hope that's helpful. So out of everything that you gave me, I would avoid the SPY right now. Bitcoin does not hold any interest for me at this level. I'm very interested in Ethereum, and I'm very interested in the strength in Ethereum. Like, let's just walk through this. Okay, here's the high of Ethereum. Here's where you are now. So all this is going on, and we're down 4%. I'll take that all day long right now. Hey, Cameron. DWAC and fun. Oh, we're pulling out the stops today. All right. So, look, there was a trade here. If you took it, you took it. Let's get rid of these indicators. I mean, these are just your levels. I wouldn't be a buyer of this. I'd be very, very careful today. This is perfect pump and dump weather, like perfect. It doesn't really get any easier to pump and dump than an environment like this. And you can see it. Here's the pump. Here comes the dump. Watch this 52 level. It's there for a reason. Let's see if we can find out what that reason is. Bump, 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 bump. So we can see 52. Yep, there it is. Okay, so I can see why I had that level there. All right, let's just come all the way across. Does that come back to here? Yeah. So I can see, okay, so that's that peak right here. So that's where we're at with the level. That's why that level's there, right here. The breakout bar, the high of the breakout bar. And you're slicing through that this morning. Okay, see how it was resistance and support here, buddy? You don't want to go near this. Don't go near this. By breaking 52, if I was in it, I'd be out. I'd be gone. Be really careful with this kind of nonsense today. And I'm calling it nonsense because it is. We all know that. I mean, we all know that they're not going to reinvent the world, right? We're just trying to get in and hope that we can capture a move like this. I'm not saying that I don't do it. Just understand you know what you own and what you're doing. So in regards to this, in regards to what we're seeing, look, you're going to have to make some decisions here. If you want to play this, but this is not something I would go near, right? Take a look, watch, look at this. I mean, here's your rally. Here's your wick, which is clear rejection, right? I can't stress enough to use 1 and 15-minute charts after hours to give you different perspectives. And just look at what you're doing here, right? So, and then this was the another breakout bar through this high tight flag that formed from here. And what happened? You know, you're sitting at that line. So technically you're below it. So you have to watch how that plays itself out. Hey, boss. PFV. Hey, Zane. So I mean, the issue is becoming, here's the issue. Fundamentally, the issue is becoming that people are still saying get vaccinated, and you're seeing people become more apprehensive of that as you see more variants come out, and then things aren't changing, right? After a while, people just get desensitized to this. And I'm not saying that's good or bad, I'm just saying what happens. So these new treatments that they have coming out really will help, right? I mean, they're game changers. If you look at the one study, they stopped because the drug was so powerful. So to me, anything that's a treatment for this is probably the way to go now versus the vaccine names. And you know, I play long BNTX, but I've been shorting mRNA for some time. There's no secret to that. But you see this level here and how you're respecting it. The issue becomes you are buying Pfizer at an extremely high multiple. Okay, let me just show you this on the monthly. All right, Pfizer doesn't move like this. This doesn't happen. Okay, I'm just going through and showing you on a monthly basis that you just don't move like this. You just don't. And for Pfizer to be up that much, you know, that's pretty impressive. So you're going to have to watch this. If you really wanted to get involved, I probably would not touch it till I got above this. And then maybe I'd put a trade on and give it a try. So I hope that's helpful. Hey, no. Any hope for Tesla? Yeah, I mean, look, yesterday, no. And again, I don't know who's in the trading room, who's not, when we do these live sessions. So yeah, I mean, to me, that was a pretty clear rejection yesterday. So one of the things that you're seeing happen here, let me get a cup of coffee. Oh, give me a minute. So one of the core things that we're seeing happen is we're seeing setups. And I explained this a little bit yesterday, but we're seeing setups where they're luring us in and then they're reversing. Well, that usually is the beginning of the down move, not the end of the down move. What they want to do is trap people. And they did an excellent job of that on Tesla yesterday. Excellent. I mean, they got me. And well, not like that's any big consolidation, but once you, let's get rid of this. Once you were here, right, and you started popping over this level, I was like, oh, it's go time, right? Like we're gonna break the wedge, right? That 1168 level. I'm like, oh, it's go time. I'm not going to wait for the orb. I'm just going to execute. And what happens? Breaks down, gives me an H, gap fills. I'm like, okay, well, maybe it'll stop. And then the trajectory of that move started steepening. Well, that's like the exact opposite of what you want to see. You have to, if you look at the trajectory of a move and it starts changing like that, and you're long, you're on the wrong side of the trade. So now the question becomes, what do you want to do? And I just want to point this out. See all these hammers? All they kept doing was just trying to get a little bit above, like it was going to break out of that hammer. Okay. And to lure people in, wick, rejection, 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 bonk, right? Rising wedge, rising wedge, break, right? So you're seeing that there is just massive selling going on right now in these names. What is most troubling about names like this, let me just see why this is, there we go. Hold on one second. What's most troubling about this is that the insider selling in these bigger tech names is huge, and they're usually the first to know. So this is the most stock Musk has ever sold. I know he's got a tax issue, but you're seeing massive, massive selling in these names. So I like it, but look, I mean, here, let's just go through this. I like it, but you need to be really, really careful. So it would be nothing for this to get to here. Nothing for this to get to 960. Like literally, legitimately nothing. So, you know, this is not a bar to buy. This is day one of a fall. And then right here, I know I'm spending a lot of time on these names, but this is not an easy day. This is not going to be an easy trading day for people, right? People are still in the, if you look at the comments, people are still in the hope mode that this is going to hold. So hold on one second. I'm sorry. Got to nuke the coffee a little bit here. So here's the thing with your calls. Like, am I in those? No, you. Like if I take out this low, where are we? 1090, you have to go, because the issue that you're going to run into with an option is, one, you're going to run into implied volatility, which is not going to make the option move until it contracts. Okay. And then it's going to contract against you, even if the stock moves up. You have to look, when you buy options now, you really have to look at your place on where you're at on the VIX. Okay. Because if you're here, this is a chart I posted last night, we're up 100% on the VIX in a month. So if you're here, right, those options are more expensive. When this collapse, even if the stock goes up, you'll lose money. So like a great example of this was, we did a trade on mRNA yesterday where we bought options. We bought puts and the stock dropped 20 points and we owned close to, in the money options, and it didn't matter. We made 20% on it because the VIX is so high. So just keep that in mind. Something to consider. Affirm. I know I spent a lot of time on that, but I think it's important because I think there's a macro thesis there that people should pay attention to. This is just absolute toast. I mean, somebody sent me some cinnamon yesterday, saying it. Let's put some cinnamon on that. That is toast. Get out of the way. Like if you're in this and you take out that niche, that is everything. Look, these patterns are everywhere and you're seeing them. I'm going to point them out to you and save everybody a lot of heartache and time. We're going to get rid of all these horizontal lines. See these rising wedges? Okay, that's the point. Like here's your H, okay? And they'll just make this the H. Okay, that's the height of the H. When you break that, that is maximum pain, right? You break this, No, you're going a lot lower, like a lot lower, because now you're into all kinds of breaks. So you really need to watch that. I mean, this had every opportunity, but what you're seeing is you're seeing these blow offs like here, and you're going to have to watch those blow offs, right? You're going to have to really watch what's going on with them. So let's just keep going. Thoughts on SQQs to play Apple Tech weakness? I don't use SQQ. If you can't short names, then buy it. But to me, I don't really view it as that great of an idea. And I'll just explain why. I mean, the spread on this thing's usually fairly decent. It's much easier to play with because, let me just show you this. Volume, get rid of the RSI. Let me just point this out to you. I'm going to show you why I'm not a big fan. Like, see how this volume coming in? Like, what did that do? What did we really do? Right? You went from 6, you made 40 cents, 30 cents. You know how quick you have to be to take that? Like, that's not easy. I'll just show you exactly what I do to put a quick hedge on. And I mean, I do trade futures. I don't talk about it a lot because I have to. Sometimes I feel like I have to be careful that people don't try and do what I do. But like here, look, because it's just easier. It's a very liquid market. But this is really simple. Let's get rid of all these horizontal lines. You take out this low, which I think you're going to do today, right? You're going to here. So I would short this versus go long SQQQ. Okay, if you're really saying, hey, I don't really like to short, which is cool, totally cool. I have friends that are hyper successful, by anyone's metrics that won't short anything. So you'd have to look for something else, right? So now this is basically like tech, right? And this is one that's on my short list, was in the top 5 at 5. So you have this now, okay? Well, I mean, this is setting up. Hold on, remove this. But this just broke out yesterday. 35, you're at 37, you're poking your head up. This is ready to go. So, I mean, that it doesn't get any cleaner than breaking above this line, right? And I mean, what are you going to lose? 35, you're going to lose $1.50. Who cares? So I would use SARK versus, I would use the SARK versus anything, because if you're going to get hammered, right? If we're going to come in and get hammered, ARK is going to get hammered, like taken to the woodshed. She's not in the right names for this move on the way down. She's just not. One of the key things people thought, and I'm still trying to unwind all this because it's a very confusing time, but. And I know I'm backed up on the questions, but let me just point this out. When people thought this variant came out, they were expecting lockdowns again, or the talk of lockdowns again. What has transpired instead of that, right? No, we're not going to do lockdowns. I don't care where you are politically on that. I could care less. What I'm saying is that's why stocks like Zoom went down. Okay, that's why these reversed on the variant. So it's a pretty confusing time because the vehicles that we used before, right? They're not holding up. And this one always makes me laugh because everybody and their mother should be using this app. I mean, it's one of the best apps ever, but they tie it to a lockdown for some reason. So it's going to go through massive pain. That's what's happening. So you're seeing those moving parts. So yes, she's in a lot of these at-home names and she's going to get hammered on them. So that's just a long answer to your SQQ question, Isaac. Sorry it was so long. Went on a bit of a rant there, but I thought it was important. Well, look, I have a position in Playboy. It's been, and I said this yesterday, I put 2 longs on yesterday for the newsletter. And quite frankly, it has never, I'm just going to be blunt. It's never happened to me that I've ever had 2 stocks trick me this fast. And it concerns me for the market. I don't know if that means that we're near the end or that there's another level below. I think that we might see another level of selling. That's where my head is. It just has not happened, but this breakout on this level, breaking this wedge line, breaking this, like here, let me walk you through it so you can see where my head was, right? So I'm like, okay, we're breaking the wedge line. Okay, well, now I need to make a higher high, right? And then you can see we make the higher high and then it reverses. I'm like, oof, like that's not where you want to be. The problem that you're running into is if you close below the 21 day, you're setting up to retest this level. Now, if you're in at 31 and you're a long time player, Voss, and you want to stay in it, is this really where you sell it? No, I mean, at this point, what I would do is probably make it my break even and just say, if I get stopped out, I'll re-enter when it settles. I don't think I'd be selling right here. I'm not in a, it depends on how you trade and what you're looking for, but that's not really my level that I would focus on. And this 34.59, if you are looking for a level to determine, let's say you don't like my idea of breaking even, and I understand that, I respect it, 34.59. If you break 34.59 between major support and how you've held here and the 21 day, then go, then get out of the way. Puts on Tuesday. I think that's a really good bet right now. I don't know which ones you're in, but I think that you're solid. I mean, you're going to go to here fairly quickly. So I don't know which ones you're in. The issue that you're going to have with options is that the VIX is too high for to make any money. Yeah, LCID. If I was down in LCID, I'd be gone. I can't be any. I'll be like blunt. If that was me, I would not own that stock right now. TQQ, I'd be on the short side. Okay, look, you're just starting to break down. Okay, you can go to here. Okay, I don't want to be in that. I want it to hold here and then show me what it's going to do. And that's what we're looking for today, okay? Yeah, that whole sector is probably toast. I think that you're going to, that whole sector is probably toast. I mean, candidly, this is where, again, they got me. I bought here, this break, and I used the open as my stop, so I didn't get hammered. I think I lost like $1 or $2. But yeah, that's got some issues. That has some real issues there. So, if it breaks this trend line, it's over. That's what I've been looking for. But that whole space is going to come in, right? We're seeing that whole space is coming in. That whole meme space, they're going to get hammered, and they just don't know it yet. I mean, look, we all go through it. It's growing pains. But yeah, I would avoid those. TNA, I wouldn't even be buying the options on them because the options are so insanely priced. Look, we put a short position on yesterday on this. I think that you're setting up to bounce here. I think you're setting up to bounce. Let me just pull this out so you can see why I'm saying that. Okay, see this line? So you have not had this level of selling in this since back here in the pandemic. Okay, so usually massive dumping. I mean, why do stocks go down? They go down because people sell, right? When they stop selling, stocks stop going down. It's not rocket science. So what we're looking for is some indication of that. And I think you're there. The other thing that I pointed out earlier was just this. Like when you start getting to a point on an index that has 2,000 stocks in it that is that oversold, you need to start paying attention to it. Doesn't mean that it's going to go straight up, but I certainly wouldn't be. I wouldn't be short here. It's just the real money's made. The real money's been made on the short side. So maybe, I mean, the best thing that could happen to give you something is for it to close just the way it is. Give us a doji, and then tomorrow break that, and then you can just use this as your stop, right, and go from there. SPY. Yep, I went over that. XLY. Hi, Jen. I went over that. I know I'm behind. So if you didn't see it, just let me know. Just retype it in. I know I'm spending a lot of time on these questions today, but there's some really good ones that really kind of have a macro theme to it. So I think it's important to understand, especially where you're at right now. So, I mean, consumer discretionary. Look, I'm going going to just be blunt. I mean, no one's comfortable right now spending money. Nobody. I mean, there's a reason people aren't buying a new iPhone, right? Besides the fact that, I don't think it's that the new one's that different, but there's a reason why Apple had an issue today and came out and made that statement. So I'd be really careful with consumer discretionary. People don't have the consumer confidence in what's going on with the pandemic and what's going on with the economy and what the Fed's going to do has just created a ton of uncertainty, and it's not good. Macro, it's not good. So I don't think that these are going to do very well, frankly. It would be interesting to see what the RSI looks like on this. So yeah, I mean, that's pretty deadly, right? So, right. I mean, you can see that, right? So, I mean, there's a pretty decent divergence. I wouldn't go near this. Is SC broken? What's going on, Di? Good morning. Thank you. SC, yeah. I mean, Cinnamon Toast Crunch. That's done. Yeah, I mean, you can't go near that, John. You can't. That break, you can't. I mean, this could just have another one of these. These don't just stop and reverse usually. They usually have another one. And then after that is usually when you see the stop. And then you have to rebuild. I mean, you have to think about it like this, right? You have to think about it like, look, what stage are you in? Right? You're stage 1, stage 2, right? Forms another stage 2, stage 3, starts breaking down. You're in stage 4, right? Do you really want to, how I look at the stages? So do I really want to get involved there? I mean, everybody kind of looks at the stages a little differently. I wouldn't be getting involved there. Mara above 50. No, I don't like any of those names. I mean, I know people like them. Look, and I'm not saying that Mara can't work. I don't know why this is giving me so many issues lately. Why it's taken so slow. So I would not be a buyer of that. I mean, it was pretty clear to me when they did that secondary that they don't have the growth potential that people thought that they did. Right. And I mean, I always equate it to something very, very simple. Okay. Think of Bitcoin as gold. Now picture a miner going out to someone else's mine and buying their gold to put in their mine. It's insanity to me. Like, it just doesn't make any sense. Just keep your own Bitcoin, or you're not manufacturing as much, or you can't get your growth rate to where you're saying you can get your growth rate, because you wouldn't then do that. You would just buy more mining equipment. So for me, looking at this and seeing this, you're seeing everything you need to see right here. Look at that rejection. So this is not something that I would be in a big hurry to own at all. So just keep that in mind. Grab today is day 1 after merge with AGC SPAC. Oh, that's good. Someone sent me a clip of that guy. Let's see what's going on there. Okay. I mean, it doesn't really seem like you can watch it. I mean, it doesn't really seem like it's going to be something, that great. Hold on. Let's see if that's real. Wow. Feel sorry for those people. Yeah. I mean, I would avoid this. This just looks like a complete pump. I mean, you can see it over here. So yeah, I wouldn't go near that. Hey, Boca. The 12:30 calls. I mean, look, they're toast. I mean, there's no other way to say that. This thing's not going up 10 points this thing's not going up 10 points in a day, in 2 days. Maybe it bounces. I find this interesting. I've been watching it all morning, and I'm just watching the levels that I have drawn. And I'm watching how it respects 160. Maybe you get a bounce. Maybe the VIX spiking up gives us value to them, and then you can just blow them out that way. But it's a definite, to me, it's a definite L. It did the exact opposite of what we thought it was going to do. I mean, obviously no one expected it to come out and say that the iPhone sales were weak after China just talked about how great iPhone sales were. So, see how it opens, but anything where you're like, if you're talking about the 170s, anything over, let's say, half of that value, just blow it out, and move on, because this can get worse. I mean, I'll get into it in the room, but it can get worse. This can get worse. Hey, Paul. Yeah, I think that that's a good idea, and I'm just going to point this out. One of the things that you saw, and I pointed out a little earlier, is that you're seeing a lot of names that people thought were going to go up during the pandemic because we have a new variant, it's this, it's that. And they're either understanding what this doctor from South Africa said and they're agreeing with her, or they're not, right? But one thing that we're not seeing is we're not seeing all these people come out and say lockdowns. We're not seeing that, right? Like that's not going to happen anymore. It's just not. The governments are going to have to do something else. People are not going to do that again. It just didn't go over very well politically. So that means people aren't going to be home. That means people that bought these stocks because this new variant are going to sell them. I mean, that's what you're saying. Look, I mean, here's a perfect double top, right? So boom, and then the double top failure right here, right, with that wick. Then here's your major. Let me just go right across with that, right? So now here's major support on this double top, and now you broke it yesterday. You actually broke it the day before. You take out that lower low, and there's really very little room, right? I mean, you're going to 593. You'd be going to 576. I mean, you have some real issues there. So I think you stay short that. DMYQ. So yeah, I mean, it's not something I'd be rushing into. I don't see it. I mean, maybe it bounces on some news, but that's not something I'd be jumping into. Hey, Cobra, Apple. So, I mean, look, the bottom line is you sliced through the upper channel. This is the exact opposite of what you want to have happen. They came out with news that's not great. That's the exact opposite of what you want to see happen, right? So you can get to this 21 day. That is possible today. Again, usually what happens in environments like this is they throw out everything. Everything gets hit. You need everything to get hit before you can even consider getting involved, right? I mean, that's what people are afraid of now. This was just a pump and dump. I mean, that's all this was. So I know that people on social media, I'm not going to name names, but I mean, you could see what they did. They just pumped it up to get people into it, and get out of the way. I mean, I can't stress that enough. Like, look, besides breaking the 50, if you're in this, if you're short it, stay short. But I mean, look, you're even breaking that one. You're probably going to here. What's that? $5. I wouldn't go near that. Hey, Ahmed. Good morning. Good morning, Utu. TTD. So we had a position in TTD and we wrote it up, and then it just stopped us out. The close, we lost $1.50. The close below, it was like one of the 3 stocks left, right, that we still had in the portfolio. Look, you don't want to be in this. Like, these don't end like this. They don't end with a pump, right? And then here, break, and then all of a sudden, miraculously, we hold, right? That usually does not happen. Can it happen? Of course, anything can happen. But usually a lower low leads to testing another level, and you have no support in here. There's nothing here. This is all like, gobbledygook now that you're through this, right? You're through the close. All these people are out. You're back to the open, which takes you to what? 88. From 88, then you're going to here, right? Which is right where the 50-day is. So it's not something we'd buy right now. Hey, Mark. Yeah, I mean, you can totally do that. Is there a hedge method with options, such as buying a put with a stock purchase or covered call? Yeah, you can do that. The issue that you're going to run into, Mark, right now is this. And I'm not telling you not to do it, but the issue that you're going to do is that you're going to run into a position where, like, take Apple, right? If you buy puts against it, your puts are so inflated because of the VIX that it's hard. So the issue becomes this is what I will do. I'll tell you exactly what I will do. Okay. I'll take the VIX, I'll watch it. The day that the VIX stops hitting higher highs is the day you start looking to sell calls. You sell options, right? You'd sell covered calls the day the VIX starts coming down, or that when you think the VIX is topped, or you do it now, and then if the VIX takes this level out, you close those calls, okay? Because they're going to go up in value with the implied volatility. That's the rub here, right? That's the rub, and that's the unknown. You don't know if this is the high on the VIX, and this is, I mean, that's the calculation for implied volatility. So, and that affects everybody's option pricing. So if you look at that, you don't know if this is the high, or you're going here, here. We just don't know. So, but I would be selling calls, selling puts if I thought the VIX was done. I would not, to hedge either way, I would not be buying options. The only thing I'm buying, or the only options I'm buying, are very short-term lottos. Like I bought some short-term lottos calls on Apple yesterday, thinking that maybe we bounce. Obviously did not expect them to come out. They have weak iPhone sales. So I hope that's helpful, Mark. Morning. Now a short TQQ, my friend. The VIX is the volatility index. So this determines the rate of volatility or rate of change. It determines what people think may happen. Think of it as a fear index is the way to think of it. Great way to think of it, I think. Oh yeah, Terry, you trade TNA, you don't trade IWM. TNA is 3x IWM. If you unless you don't know, unless you're not comfortable in your ability, then you do IWM. But other than that, you want the leverage. You don't now. If you were going to do it long term and we flatline, you want IWM. But if you're trying to catch these bounces, oh, you're welcome, my friend. Billy and bid you. Yeah, I mean, I think they're all toast. I've been pretty vocal on this one thing. I think any company that is linked to China eventually in 5 years is not on these indexes. I don't, I mean, look, you break that, I mean, okay, let me just say this so people understand the statement I'm about to say. There are no triple bottoms. They don't exist. Okay. They all break. I mean, if you go through and look at triple bottoms, I hate to be that emphatic, but very rarely will you see a triple bottom hold. They usually don't. They just don't hold. So that's got short written all over it. BIDU. Yeah. I mean, the only thing I would say about this one is you're making higher lows. So until that stops, I wouldn't go near it. I wouldn't be on that either way. The other one you gave me, BILI, I like that one. You're welcome, John. I did, my friend. Hopefully you saw it. You and RBLX. What's going on, Carlos? Yeah, I mean, you got to go. You have to. You cannot be in that. This is a massive break. And you see how you just broke the 50 here? This is not where you want to be. So if you take out that low, this could get super ugly, like super ugly. Okay, these are the ones you want to look for shorting, the ones that just broke the 50-day. Because if they can't hold there, I mean, there's nothing to stop this from just getting hammered. So, let's just go RBLX. RBLX pulled the flim flam yesterday. I mean, pretty clean. So let me just walk you through it. They open you up, so you're still in the range. You think you're okay. You go up here, you test that 131 level. What was the high? 130, missed it by 20 cents, right? You test the top of the doji wick. What happens? That's it. Selling. Boom. You need to hold here. And I don't think you're going to hold here. I just don't. I think you're going to see something like this. I think you're going to see this get absolutely hammered. these are still in uptrends, right? You need everything in order for this to end. Essentially, if this is going to be a real correction, in order for it to truly end, everything has to get thrown out. That includes Apple, NVIDIA, the whole group. So I'm going to have to wrap this up and hop in the room. Hey, Matt. Yeah, I saw that. It seems to not really be affecting it, though, right? I don't know. We're going to have to see how it opens. We'll have to see how it opens. Maybe that's why it came in. Maybe that hit the tape. I think the underlying issues with names like VZ, like here's the underlying issue with names like Verizon. If you're going to come out and raise rates, understand when Verizon's really started breaking. When you're going to come out and say you're going to raise rates, okay, that means that Verizon and stocks like that are probably not going to fare very well, right? They don't benefit from raising rates. It just doesn't happen. It's just very similar to this. Like when he speaks, this is not the time to buy REITs now, right? You're going to see REITs come in because people are not going to buy yield if he's going to raise rates, right? See all these? See what's happening? These are all going to break down because people will sell yield if they know rates are going to go higher, and then they'll wait to buy them back, and they'll wait for them to start tightening, and then they put money back in bonds, right? When they start, when it starts getting to the point where they're going to ease, right, then you're going to go higher. When you start to tighten, yield stocks drop. And I'm going to point this out to people because I keep getting asked about it. Do not bottom fish this. I see all these people on there talking about, oh, you just buy, you dollar cost average in, you get the dividend. Listen, they have a massive write down coming and most likely a dividend cut. Like this is going to get super ugly. Okay. They have to write down a lot of their assets on their media. So I just want to throw that out there. You do not be buying this for yield because it's probably going to go away. It's at least going to be cut. It has to be. Snow had good earnings, Brian. If like 2 more minutes, I'm going to have to jump. They had good earnings. I think it's going to be a fade all day. I'll show you what I was watching for the fade. So these are my levels, 347.69, and we've sliced through it. So now we're into the bar, right? Now we're into the bar. So now we have to see what happens with the bar. Other than that, there's nothing to do. Morning. Thoughts on value play against Win? Well, I mean, here's the issue. You're waiting to see what Macau does again, right? So it's not something I would be touching, Michael. You don't know how that's going to end there, right? And the majority of their revenues come from over there now. So it's a big part of their business. So you're really going to have to watch that. I mean, everyone's like, oh, when they just arrested like the king of junkets over there. It's just too much uncertainty. People are not going to buy these. They're going to blow them out and wait and see what happens. Your opinion on AMC? Thanks. I think AMC's toast. I mean, you broke the 200 day. I think you're done. I think it's over. So I would not be bottom fishing this. You could bounce if you close over this 200 day and maybe bounce up to this level. But other than that, I wouldn't go near it. Good morning, Mark. I see zero reason to cover Netflix. Zero. I think you're getting to a point where it's kind of getting washed out, buddy. I think that's washed out. I would look at Zoom. I think that Facebook did themselves in, so I would look at Zoom. Who's the leader in virtual concerts? No, it's not. The virtual concerts, the only one that's really held a virtual concert that everybody went to is RBLX. They held a virtual conference. It was or a virtual concert where people went. That's who the virtual concerts are. I mean, they're the only ones that did it so far. That had, I forget what the number is. You can Google it, but they had a huge audience for it. Huge. Yeah, I do, Ahmed. I think it's a safe hold. I think it's a great move that you did there. And I get that. Look, here's what you're looking at. Let's just go through it. Okay. this is going to wind up going. I mean, I'm going to have to jump here. I keep saying that, but look, you do not want to be buying this. This was major support. We broke it. It's that simple. Okay. It's that simple. Show me that you're going to go higher. I don't need to be first. I need to be right. So until you see that, maybe if you stopped here, then the next day you reversed over it and held the 50, maybe then you'd close it. But until then, I leave it on. Go on, Michael. You're welcome. Yep. Do me a favor. Please like this and share it. I purposely do not put ads in the middle of this so that we just get information. And subscribe and click notifications. The YouTube algorithm will not run me through unless I have ads. And I don't really want to do that. I don't really care about the money. So, all right, that's it. That's all I have. Everyone, think and focus. Tight stops today. Everyone, trade sharp.